Today we're doing a replay analysis of a Luna game. Now first off, with your item build, I think this item build is fine. Generally when I play Luna, I prefer to grab a Ring of Protection. And the reason for getting a Ring of Protection is because you can build it to a Basilius in the laning phase, which also gives you 5 damage. It also helps shore up your armor. 3 armor is a little low. And it also helps give you mana regen. And if you don't buy the Ring of Protection at the base, you're not going to be able to buy it at the side shop. But I think that's just a personal thing. I don't think that should necessarily be done every game. And I think there's merit to buying the Circlet and Slippers first if you think you're going to be heavily contested in lane. That is an extra 5 damage and some health and other stats on there. I think you should maybe bought an Iron Branch with your remaining 75 gold. Or a Fairy Fire, just so you could be as efficient as possible with it. I don't think there's necessarily any items on Luna that you need to rush immediately, like you might on some other heroes, so there's no reason to necessarily pull your gold at the start most of the time, unless you like randomed or something. But even then, I think it would be better to probably just buy a bunch of stats. Even if you buy too much stats and you don't use them, that's usually better than not buying enough and being punished for it. Let's go ahead and skip ahead a little bit more. Oh, and by the way, this is approximately a 1,000 average ranked game. Okay, you go to lane, you level Lunar Blessing. That's pretty standard. No real reason to level the other 2 skills in the vast majority of situations. Okay, last hitting creeps. Looks good so far. Make sure you don't miss last hits. You don't necessarily need to go for denies. Last hits are always more important than denies nowadays. Even with the experience change, you still want to get last hits when possible as a carry, because gold is the most important thing to you. Especially as a Luna, you know, if you miss like 10 last hits over the laning phase, that means that you've essentially lost at least 400 gold, if not more, depending on what creeps those were, because each creep is worth about an average of 40 gold or so. You're focusing a little too much on denying here. You should just be focusing on last hitting. There's not really much to say about the last hitting. I try not to harp too much on it, because just simply last hitting in the lane when you're not interacting with the opponent is there's nothing really I can say about it other than just to practice, because there really isn't any trick to it. It's just you just need to practice in lobbies until you get it right and get more experience in games. Okay, you turn your Basilius off. Good. Nice denies. Again, you're focusing a little too much on the denies here. Just try to focus on the last hits first, and if you see an opportunity for a deny, then go for it. As a good rule of thumb, it looks like you're still struggling a little bit with last hitting, which I would expect for a player at your level. So I would say for now, until you get the hang of last hitting and you start to become very good at it, I would just not consider denies at all, unless you're in a situation like this where no enemy creeps are in danger of dying. Like if there's an enemy creep that's like at 1/4 health or less, you probably shouldn't risk denying, as you might end up missing the last hit due to your inexperience. I'm not quite sure what you were doing here. I guess the Crystal Maiden pinged the Nyx because she wanted to go on him. But here's the problem with that. The creep wave is right here, and the enemy creeps are about up here when she pings you, right? So that means if you start going on the Nyx now, the creeps are going to get here by the time you actually attack him, and that's going to be very bad for you, because as a ranged hero, you effectively can't benefit from Stout Shield all that much, so you're going to take a lot of damage from these creeps even if you have 5 or 6 armor. It's still a ton of damage just because there's so many of them attacking you. And now the Nyx, like, he's not suffering at all, and he can just walk up to you guys and threaten you. since you were out of position and you decide, and the Crystal Maiden went on him when the creeps are too close. You don't want to try to use aggression on the offlaner when the creeps are that close, unless you're a melee hero with good armor and stout shield or a PMS. Again, just to repeat, sorry if I sound repetitive, but again, if there's an enemy creep that's about this low, approximately 1/4 to 1/3 health, don't bother denying. Just get the last hit for now. Also, whenever there are enemy creeps, I saw you were attacking a range creep that was about half health over here, and you weren't paying attention to the melee creep that was dying to the creeps. If possible, you always want to save a creep if it's close to death but not dead yet and not being attacked. So I'll go ahead and rewind here to explain that a little bit better to you. So, if you look at this range creep, it has 156 health. That means that because it's above half health, the Nyx is not going to be able to deny it. So there is no reason to be attacking this creep right now when this creep over here is so low. There is a case to be made for auto-attacking these creeps for the reason that you'll push out the wave and you won't have the last hit under tower. But doing it when this creep over here is already so low is pretty dangerous, especially early in the game when you don't have very good attack speed. So you could have gotten the last hit right here, but you were busy focusing on the range creep. I think there was one streamer, I think it was BSJ, but I'm not sure, who brought up a concept like this where you want to avoid killing the creep if possible, if it's not under threat of dying at the moment, so that you can get other last hits as a priority. Oh, you did pretty good at last hitting under tower there. You just missed 1 or 2, I think. And looks like you have your Wraith Band on the courier. Okay, you should be buying your boots now. That'll give you a nice advantage in lane. Yeah, that was unfortunate. There was nothing you could do there to protect the Crystal Maiden from dying. She's just playing way too aggressive on this Nyx. Let's go ahead and fast forward a little bit more. I don't want to get too repetitive with this because I'm seeing most of the same issues over and over right now. It looks like this is mostly a non-interactive lane, which I would expect from a Nyx versus Luna lane, so there's not a whole lot to comment on here, other than last hitting. So I'll just go ahead and skip ahead a little bit more, see if I notice anything. Just be careful about using your beam on Nyx. You can try to fake out the spiked carapace by using your stop key right after you cast it. If you use that during the cast animation, you won't actually cast a spell, but it'll look like you were going to cast it, so the Nyx may end up using carapace at that time and waste it. Oh no, this is gonna be bad for you. Yeah. So as soon as Nyx hits 6 in a lane like this, your Crystal can't do anything. Your Crystal Maiden cannot do anything to save you. That's not necessarily a fault of her skill, but it's just unfortunate hero choice, I guess. Crystal Maiden really is not a good laning hero. So once this Nyx hits 6, you probably don't want to go anywhere below like 600 health in lane, because his Impale does 260 magic, and his Vendetta does 250 plus his damage, so that's about 300 physical. So that's 300 physical and 260 magical, which is about half your health, if not a little bit more. So if you ever get low against this Nyx, you probably just want to back away from the lane and send yourself a salve from base or something. Because otherwise it's just way too dangerous and you'll die just like you did there. Let's go skip ahead a little bit more. Unfortunately, your Maiden's just feeding now, but not a whole lot you can do about it. Just gotta get your farm up as much as you possibly can here. Skip ahead a little bit more. Do as much farm as possible. You have 50 last hits at 10 minutes, roughly, a little bit less. I think you could have had like easily like 65, maybe, if you didn't miss so many earlier in the laning phase. I think those were definitely within your skill level here. It's not necessarily like you were just absolutely failing or anything. You just made little mistakes here and there that added up a bunch over time. Looks like you're going for a Mask of Madness purchase. I've heard of this item starting to become somewhat common on Luna, or uncommon, I guess, up from the obscurity it had before. I mostly played Luna right after 7.0 hit, so I never really got to experience Mask of Madness on her. So I can't particularly say whether it's a great item or not. I will say, however, that the armor reduction is pretty brutal this game, as your enemies have a lot of physical damage. They got Bristleback, Legion Commander, Nyx Vendetta, and Sniper does a good amount too. So just be careful with the way you use it, I guess. Let's go ahead and fast forward a little bit. I guess you're playing a little bit safe here because you're scared of... Actually, what are you scared of? Who was their mid sniper? I guess Legion was jungling. So you see the sniper is up here, and I can't tell if you see the coddle. Just a second. You see two heroes up here, the sniper and the Legion. Okay, you moved up now. I guess you were scared of the sniper being gone from mid there until he finally appeared. Now the Bristleback's in lane. Okay, right now you can just farm as much as you possibly can to catch up from your kind of meh laning phase. I can't see what item you're getting next, but hopefully it's a Yasha. Let's go ahead and speed this up. Be careful with this. Bristleback can definitely kill you, just because he has so much innate health. Yeah, I think that was probably a waste to go on him there, just because if you use Eclipse, it gives him a ridiculous amount of time to just turn around and avoid most of the damage that way. It's not like a skill like a Luna Blade, which has all the damage at once. You need a few seconds for Eclipse to really kick in, and for all the beams to start hitting them. And against Bristleback, that's way too risky, and it's a waste of the ability most of the time, I would say. I would say you probably only should use it to kill a Bristleback when he's disabled by your team, or you have so many teammates there that you know that you can kill him. You can deal enough damage to him with the Eclipse. Teleporting here was a mistake. You were already at pretty low health when you TP'd. You're already at half health, less than half health. You have almost no mana. You don't have ult. So really there's no reason for you to be here. You should just be still farming in the jungle. Farming this camp, go over here, here, and then make your way all the way over here. Or if the minute has come, you just go back the other way through the jungle in reverse order. You did use a shrine, but again, you could have gotten like maybe 5 or 10 more last hits if you just stayed bottom and farmed. And also because you used your TP, that's at 80 seconds that you can't teleport again. I can't see the cooldown right now, but probably got still another 20 or 30 seconds left on it. Also, it's a little dangerous to be up here because you saw their entire team was up here. So if you go up here now, then you're liable to die, like you literally just did. Exactly. While if you had been farming the jungle down here, you would have been reasonably safe. Maybe not against the Nyx, but you could have maybe done something like maybe push this tower and taken the tower since it only has like 40% health or something. I think you're a little too eager to participate in fights right now. You don't really need to participate in fights as Luna unless it's a very good fight for your team or you have Eclipse ready. And you didn't have Eclipse ready there, so you wouldn't have been able to do anything even if there was a fight, really. You still only have a Mask of Madness. Like, the reason of getting Mask of Madness on Luna is because it makes you a rather insane farming machine with the damage and attack speed it provides, and it also provides you with a way to regenerate health outside of battle, or technically inside of battle, but you know what I mean. So you need to be farming as much as possible to make the Mask of Madness pay off. It's the fighting ability it has is okay, but it doesn't really kick in until you have like a Yasha or something, or like a Dragonlance. Actually, yes, going Dragonlance here first, before Yasha was correct, I think. Just because they have so much burst on their team. I like that you're stacking here. I don't think that's stacked. Nah, it didn't. Otherwise the creeps would have aggroed here on you. You're pretty close though. Skip ahead a little bit further here. You're wandering around a little too much. You should just start farming. Like, you should just be pushing this lane. And if you don't feel like pushing that lane is safe, you should instead be farming these camps, like over here and over here. And if you still don't feel safe for whatever reason, keep in mind that even as a carry, you can still buy Observer Wards. I can't tell how many are in stock right now, but if there are any in stock and you just want some vision to help you farm more, remember that you can always do that. They're only 60 gold, which is kind of ridiculous once you think about it. If that ward you place saves you even one death or gets you one kill, then it's automatically paid for itself like 2 or 3 or 4 times over even. Like, even at these lower ratings, if your allies aren't warding or aren't warding well, you can place wards, and if they're decent for you, then that's a pretty good use of it. You don't need to make 100% efficient use of wards until the higher ranks. Let's see how you're doing on farm. You're doing okay, actually. You're not that far behind their team, even though it kind of looks like it. You're just right behind the sniper in terms of the top net worth. But you could actually be you're on the lead right now, but you could be a couple hundred gold higher, or like even 500 gold higher, if you were a little bit more efficient about your farming patterns and did a little better in lane. To give you a realistic view of how much good farming can make a difference. You could be like 10,000 net worth right now, probably. Having 200 last hits as Luna in about 25 minutes is very achievable. Unfortunately, the Nyx is kind of just wrecking your team right now, but just gotta do the best you can, I guess. At least you have your Yasha and you're getting really close to your Manta, which will make a pretty significant difference in these fights, I think. As for your talents, I like the 15 damage. I think that's generally better than the movement speed. But I think you should have gone for the health over the Lucent Beam damage here, just because you're kind of behind and you need as much health as possible against these heroes. Like, Nyx relies on burst damage, and Legion needs to be able to kill you during the duel. And having the extra health helps significantly against both of those objectives from the enemy team. Well, that was okay, Eclipse usage. A little unfortunate it was right next to the creeps, but it was okay. Probably the best you could do in that scenario. You're actually pulling really far ahead of them right now. You're like 2,000 gold ahead of the sniper, which is really, really good. He's got almost no gold in the last like 2 minutes or so, and you've just been farming and farming. If I remember right, I think you lost this game though. Yeah, you did. So that probably means that you're probably going to throw your lead away here sometime, eventually at some point. That's kind of why I'm zipping through this replay right now. There isn't a whole lot to say about the early game other than to improve your farming rotations and fighting abilities. Fighting decisions, I mean. So we'll look here and just play it until we get to the part where you or your team screwed up and see how you could have better afforded the situation. Again, your team is overall still behind right now. Roughly. Actually, are you guys still behind? Yeah, you are. 5,000 gold. Which definitely is not unsurmountable, but it's a little bit of a lead for the enemy team. So playing safely right now and getting as much farm as possible is going to help you. I think you should get a Hurricane Pike before getting Skadi. Skadi is an okay choice this game, I think. BKB is good against Sniper because of his shrapnel, and it is pretty good against the Nyx because then he won't be able to do anything to you, really. But against the Keeper, you can just use your Manta to purge off his mana leak, although you will have to be careful about using it, and Legion doesn't really care about BKB, and Bristle doesn't really care about BKB either. So I think you could make a case for skipping BKB this game, but I think you should have gotten a Pike, and the reason for that is because the main reason is the Sniper Shrapnel, and I have a feeling that if you don't itemize for the Sniper Shrapnel, that's probably what's going to wreck you this game. So if you don't have a way to escape the Sniper Shrapnel, you might just end up losing a bunch of fights in a row, because Sniper Shrapnel starts to become very, very strong because of its ability to control team fights. And if you don't have a way of dealing with it, which is such as BKB or a Force Staff or a Hurricane Pike, then you're going to have a very bad time. Like, you might not have felt it yet, but you probably will feel it at some point here. I might be wrong, but we'll see when this replay gets a little further in. It especially starts to become really annoying when the Sniper starts getting enough damage to actually hurt you quite a bit during the shrapnel itself. Nice, you're sending your illusion to push there. Maybe they'll hit the tower. Okay. The Scotty is going to give you a lot of health, which is pretty important, but I think the utility of the Hurricane Pike is kind of just unmatched. Especially in a game like this where you need it against the shrapnel so bad. Unfortunately, they did get the Roche, but I don't think that's that big deal right now. They're still ahead by 5,000 gold, but you're so far ahead in net worth that you can pretty decently win a fight for your team. Oh no, Mag just wasted his RP. That's pretty bad for you, but you do get the kill. I like you didn't use Eclipse there. Wasn't necessary. And you should just ditch your team at this point. Just ditch them. You cannot fight here in this choke point against a shrapnel. You might want to consider using Manta here. Okay, no, you're fine. But yeah, you don't want to fight in a small, narrow area like this under shrapnel, because that means it's going to be literally almost impossible to avoid it. I think it was a mistake to commit Eclipse here, because if you look at the map, you'll see that your Clockwork's dead. Your Clinks is over here, but he's not attacking the Eclipse targets, and you have a creep wave right in front of you that's going to tank most of the hits probably. Like, you are going to end up getting the Legion's Aegis, but I think it was maybe a little risky, and you should have considered saving it, just so that you would be able to use it better in an upcoming fight. Be really careful about fighting the shrapnel here. You're going to get sniped. Okay, you backed off. Nice. Thankfully, your clock was zoning the sniper, so he couldn't use Assassinate on you. You're still doing really good in net worth. You're not quite as far ahead of the sniper anymore, but you're still on top by a decent lead. You're getting pretty close to your Scotty. That was a good fight, and I like that you didn't use Eclipse there, because the Magnus already used reverse polarity, and you realized that, hey, we can just kill these guys, so we don't necessarily need Eclipse to do that. If you actually had Hurricane Pike there, you might have ended up killing the sniper, because you would have been in range to use Lucent Beam to stun him, and then you maybe could have used Eclipse. It's hard to tell, though. Shall we? No, okay. You should just go into the enemy's jungle and start farming the camps. Like, they're backed off and your teammates are up here anyways, so you can just farm Ancients, farm the large camp, farm over here, here, etc. You don't necessarily need to farm only in your jungle. You can also farm in the enemy's jungle if you're in an aggressive position to do so. I think it's a pretty big mistake not to be carrying a TP in your backpack at this point. It's a very cheap investment, and you can just trade it with your Aquila at any point, and you'll have a TP in 6 seconds. I've noticed that you've done a large amount of this game without a TP, and you haven't been punished for it yet, but you might be in the future. Like, they're already to your tier 3s on the bottom lane, so if you don't have a teleport to be able to defend, you might end up losing racks at some point, or at least a tower. And as Luna, because of your glaives, you're very good at stopping a push. I mean, if you're pushing yourself against one of their towers, you don't necessarily want to TP back. But if you're just farming, you can teleport back and immediately get rid of the creep wave before they can do too much damage. Oh, nice. That was a good mana dodge. I was actually going to bring up how you could mana dodge the assassinate, but you did it yourself, so that's really good. I do want to look back at that fight though and slow it down to see if you could have done it better. Okay, so the fight starts. You see Clockwork go on the Bristleback. Now, I don't think you want to use Eclipse right here, just because the Bristleback has so much health, and he's going to be able to turn around here in a second and avoid a good portion of the damage. So what you want to do is you want to try to use Eclipse to hit the rest of the enemies on their team, if possible. The Legion does jump in. Has Blade Mail though. I think you should have considered going around before the fight started to get the sniper maybe. Or if you had a Hurricane Pike, you probably could just go straight through and use a Force or something. Then again, that might be too dangerous against our team, especially with the Legion. I don't know, hard to say. That fight was not good for your team, obviously, but it was okay for you, mechanically speaking. Yeah, be careful of Nyx, because if he's next to anybody, he can use his Carapace, and your glaives will stun you. Just be careful. Looks like you might be going the sniper here. Oh no, he's invisible. That's why I see him on the map. Okay. Okay, that was a good Eclipse. Really good fight for your team. Should start pushing high ground as soon as possible here, because there's 4 dead on the enemy team. Are you gonna make it in time? We'll see. Oh, they wasted the glyph though, so that's good. You can start attacking it now. You don't need to wait. You don't need to worry about the Bristleback too much. Just start attacking the tower. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, best to be backing up at this point, I guess. You're buying a butterfly next. It's an okay item this game, I think. It's good against the Legion. It's okay against Bristleback, I guess. It's decent against Sniper. I wouldn't say it's necessarily amazing, but it's definitely okay. Hold on. Okay, so you're half health. Fight breaks out. You do have Eclipse, but obviously you can't go in here. You Shrine. Nice. Should send your illusions up there. Good. Nice Manta dodge. Yeah, it's probably safe to do this. Yeah, it's not like the sniper's gonna be able to turn on you with the amount of health he has. Okay, that went well. There's a big wave pushing in bot though, so someone needs to defend that, or you're probably gonna end up losing a tower with these new and improved siege creeps. Oh nice, they got the RP off. You should consider going top with your team now, I think. Though you are a little low health, so it might be a little dangerous. I do know you want to recover some health with your mask. Not too much to say here, just farm during the downtime. You probably should be pushing a lane. I don't think I've seen you push lanes too much this game. I know you're probably scared of the Legion and the Nyx, but if you see them on the map doing other things, it's usually pretty safe to do so. Unfortunately, your Lynx is kind of going off me a little bit too aggressive. I think you're playing a little bit too safe in the base. You probably could start going out and farming these camps a little bit. You have so much health that it's pretty unreasonable for them to be able to kill you without like a 3, 4, or 5 man commitment to it. Looks like the game's going to be ending here shortly. We'll see what happens. Oh, you got the dual damage, I think. Okay, you use Satanic. Oh no. Okay, so let's see what happened here. Okay. So, you use Satanic, and you died. Again, hard to say. If you had a pike there, you probably could have just turned around and gotten out. You're like almost 10,000 gold ahead of your next teammate in terms of items. Okay, well, I don't think anything new happens past here, probably. It's probably just the same thing, where your team goes in, your team dies, and then you're the only one left, right? I guarantee that's what's going to happen here, probably. Okay, he misses the RP. Your team's dying. And you can't fight because there's no such thing as a true 1v5 hero. Yeah. Okay, well, there's not much else I can say about this replay. But I just want to say that I do think you played pretty well this game, especially for your rating. If most of your games do end up like this, you probably are going to end up rising quite quickly out of the ranks. But again, like I said, that depends on your average game being like that. I haven't looked at your account, so I can't know whether this is truly an average game for you, or if you did better than normal, or if you did worse than normal, etc. I think you could have closer to like 500, 550, 600 maybe last hits. Getting those last hits in the early game is very important, because the faster you get your first items, the faster you get your next items, and so on and so forth. Farming in Dota is kind of like a feedback loop where you just get stronger and stronger. Like, because you're you farm so much, you're able to farm faster now. And because you have so many kills, you're already able to buy items that will allow you to kill even more, and so on and so forth. Unfortunately, you are going to have these games where you do really well, but your allies do really poorly. Like, I just had a puck game where I went like 25-3 against an enemy team, but unfortunately, I wasn't able to win the game by myself. And that will happen occasionally, but you know, I would say that most of the time that isn't necessarily going to happen, because remember, it can happen to the enemy team as well. It's not just you necessarily that it happens to. It happens to everybody once in a while. So I would say focus on your last hitting. Try to focus on getting the enemy creeps rather than denying too much. You're focusing on denying a little bit too much and missing last hits as a result. And I can't remember if there's anything else I stated there. Just try to spend your time farming. You did farm pretty well this game, but there were a couple times where you were like running back and forth between areas. And also, always keep at least one teleport scroll in your backpack. With the new backpack edition, there's really no reason not to. You lose absolutely nothing from doing it, other than the 50 gold for your teleport. And it can end up paying off really, really hard in many scenarios. So if you have any questions, feel free to just ask.